Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's 2025. The job market is becoming increasingly difficult to navigate, with more and more workers becoming laid off as every single week goes on, seemingly. Just this week, we have seen companies like UPS announce layoffs, citing Trump tariffs and essentially saying that they're going to lay off 20,000 workers as a method of coping. We've seen so many companies and so many different industries doing this, and of course, I've been keeping you guys updated on the situation as the past couple months have progressed. If I bring you to this chart here, you're going to be seeing the actual impact of layoffs simply in the tech sector. Do bear in mind, this is only one industry, and look at the impact of these tech layoffs. Through 2024 and into 2025, we are seeing massive amounts of workers essentially losing their jobs. Look, this is a reality of today's job market, and a lot of people are very concerned. A lot of tech workers are finding it virtually impossible to even attempt to find a job. It's very difficult to navigate this sector. And again, tech is not the only one. I want to bring you guys this data from April of 2025, suggesting that job cuts have plunged, but Doge drives 2025 layoffs to pandemic era highs. Just have a look at these figures, right? US based employers announced 105,441 cuts in April, down 62% from the 275,000 jobs cut in March. It's up 63% from the 64,789 cuts announced the same time last year. And this is where the context becomes quite important, right? We all know that last month we saw the majority of the layoffs essentially coming from the government and federal workers. A lot of people in the federal sector essentially lost their jobs. However, it's important to actually factor in the amount of employees coming from the private sector, right, coming from actual businesses. And we're still seeing massive numbers, again, up 63% from this time last year. This is a trend which is just continuing, and the whole tariff situation is not making it any easier for businesses and employees to, again, find jobs and keep those jobs. So April's total is the highest for the month, or any month, since April 2020, right? So every April, this is the highest that we've seen since 2020, when 671,000 cuts were announced, the highest number in a recorded month since Challenger began reporting on jobs in 1989. With the exclusion of April 2020, last months were the highest since 2009, when 132,000 jobs were cut. Now, I do want to focus on this paragraph because I think this is particularly pertinent and important, right? Have a minute to think about the data that we're talking about here. 2020 was a very uncertain time for business as a whole. This past April that we're seeing is the highest time since then. Take that out of the perspective and even go back to the previous data. We can call 2020 an anomaly. We all know what happened in that time period. It was very difficult for, again, employees and businesses to navigate. But now, even factoring that in, we're seeing the highest figure since 2009. Again, basically the time around the recession, the Great Recession of 2007, 8, and 9. So, is there any surprise that this is concerning? Probably not. I think this is data for major concern, right? Obviously, the government cuts were at the front and centre of jobs that we saw last month. Generally, companies are citing the economy and new technology. Employers are slow at hiring and have limited hiring plans as they wait to see what will happen with trade, supply chain, and customer spending as well. Now, I want to focus on this part even more, because we understand that these figures are large, but let's actually think about what's driving them. Again, for the context, the last time that we've seen April layoffs like this was in a major economic downturn and in a global pandemic. This is the context and the scale of what we're seeing right now. In today's market, it's arguably quite challenging, maybe even equally challenging for businesses to navigate. We've got the trade tariffs, which are arguably creating economic tensions and issues that we've not seen for the best part of 100 years. We are seeing companies having to pull workers, having to pull supply chains. It's changing the market massively. And I think we're all feeling the impacts of it to some degree, right? So is there any surprise that big businesses are finding this extremely difficult to navigate? I would say the answer is no. I think it makes basically perfect sense. And then we can talk about the technology. We've spoken about AI before and the impact that AI is having on jobs. Companies are turning to AI and they're doing it straight away. This idea that it's going to be something for, a long time in the future, not true at all. It is already happening. It is absolutely already happening. This is important context, and this all points to data which we should at least be aware of, right? This is arguably very concerning. Over 100,000 job cuts in April is still a very large number. It's still something to pay attention to. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.